Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Samuel Johnson. In this video, I just kind of wanted to go over moody editing, moody dark kind of themes within editing photos. So yeah, hopefully this is concise and helpful for you. I got 3 photos here to run do to edit, and yeah, let's get started. All right, so first photo here, we have a photo of a horse I took a couple weeks back. So right off the start, we're gonna just do a little quick crop. This is obviously to your preference, but depends on the photo here. So we're just gonna bring it in a little bit. Center his face. Okay, so what I wanna do first is go down to the tone curve, and then we'll go back up to the basics after. So I'm gonna clip the whites a bit, and I'm going to crush the blacks right off the bat. Then I'm going to just increase the highlights just slightly and just decrease the shadows just slightly. And then I'm gonna bring up those midtones. The midtones on the lower end, just a little bit. All right, so that's looking good, before and after. All right, so next thing I wanna do is I'm going to turn down the exposure a little bit. Highlights I'm gonna bring back because we don't want this to be too bright here. Shadows I'm gonna bring up just a bit. And then the whites, we don't want those too much because then it's gonna make the side of the face here quite bright as well. So I'm gonna tone those back a little bit, and as well as the blacks, turn those down. Next thing I wanna do is make sure vibrance is down, maybe about -20 or so. And then I'm also gonna cool off the photo, 44-20, somewhere in there. Now it's obviously going to be different for each photo that you're doing, kind of where it was shot, what time it was shot, those kinds of things. Now I want to go the tone curve here and start bringing a little more blue into the shadows. So do that and just crush down those shadows a bit so it doesn't get too blue. Before and after. So we're getting that blue tone coming through, and it looks quite good. So next thing we got to look at is the HSL, and we got 2 sliders we need to worry about here. So we got orange, the orange hue goes red and green. So we want to make that a little more red, just a little bit, -10, and then also blue. So you can go really teal or you can go really purple. Blue tones is kind of what you're going for like a moodier photo. Blue or green tones are quite good, at least in my opinion. And when we're going with blues, you don't want to go too teal because then it almost seems like tropical, and tropical kind of gives off the feelings of warmth and being inviting and those kinds of things. So yeah, I'm going to just turn it up a little bit towards the purple side, just a bit. Then with saturation, let's turn down the orange, and we can crank up the blue just a bit, just a little bit, +10. Now let's turn up the luminance of the blue as well as the orange. Now the next thing, don't worry about sharpening anything there. Don't worry about lens corrections, because if we enable lens corrections, it's going to take away a little bit of the natural vignette that we want going on here. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to add a little bit of vignette, just a little extra, -10 or so. And then with grain, we want to add a bunch of grain, so about 30 or so, and about 40 on the size, and about 60 on the roughness. So if we flip this off, looks quite clean. Turn it on, it's quite a little more gritty is kind of what we're going for. So that looks pretty good to me. Now I want to take a radial filter and highlight the face here. So if you double click effect, it resets all the effects here. Now if you hit O, it shows where the effects are being applied. So by default, the effects are applied where the green is, which is outside of the radial filter. So you want to come down, you want to hit invert, and it's going to put everything to the inside of the radial filter. So hit O again, so now we can actually see what's going on. Now I do want to brighten up this face a bit. So shadows up, highlights up, and we're going to add just a little bit of warmth back, just a little bit in the face. I'm going to add just a touch of clarity and just a touch of saturation, about 10 or so, and a little bit of sharpness because it is the subject, so we just want to draw that attention into the to the face, to the subject of the photo. So that looks pretty good. I'll add just a tad more warmth. Maybe just leave it around 12 and then a little more brightness. And we can take down those whites a bit more and pump up those blacks just a little bit. Add a bit of contrast, and that looks pretty good to me. So before, quite warm, pretty flat. After, keeping it flat, but we're muting everything a bit and making it a little more moody. So yeah, I'm liking that. Let's move on. So what you can do now is if you want to use what you've edited a photo as, all the settings, if you want to use that on other photos, you can either create a preset up here, or you can just click previous, which is what I'm going to do, and it applies all the settings identical to the previous photo you were just on. So this is a photo of me here. Let's mess around with the crop. Now, it's just a matter now of tweaking the photo to work with the settings that you just applied. So now we have to tweak this photo to work with the previous settings. So this one's dark, so we're gonna brighten it up a bit. And it's looking like this vignette is quite heavy. So we're gonna just take it out altogether. And it's already got a natural vignette going from, we shot this at blue hour, so it was just the way the light was hitting and everything like that. We were getting that vignette already, so I'm gonna leave that like that. Now let's edit this radial filter. So we'll go like that, and we'll go up. And what I wanna do, double click effect, gonna get rid of that. Now let's add some more detail to the shadows, a little bit of brightness in the face, and let's add some warmth. So now a pro tip with skin tones, if the skin tones are too cool, skin looks kind of patchy and weird, and obviously too blue. So bring up the warmth and it makes the skin tones more smooth and more natural. So we're gonna do that here. And then I want to add a bit more contrast back in. So let's add more blacks while bringing up the exposure. Add a little bit of contrast. And just a tad bit of clarity, but turning the clarity down. So that looks pretty good, like so. Now we got before and we got after. So we got that blue going. I think what I want to do is come down to hue, push the blue about there, +8 or so. It's a little too purple still. I also got aqua to mess around with, which is in my coat. So I want to keep my coat aqua because that's the color it is naturally. And we'll bring a little more teal in. So that looks pretty good. And yeah, so before and after, looks good. Moving on, let's take this one and go previous. And right off the bat looks really bad because the settings aren't meant for this one. So anyways, pro tip, when cropping people, never crop right on a joint. Always crop kind of mid-limb, otherwise it looks like you're cutting off their limb. It looks off. So make sure you crop kind of mid-limb instead of right on the joint. So that's what I'm doing here. And that looks good. Maybe a little lower. Now, what I want to do is, it's way too bright, so we're going to turn down that brightness. And then we're going to make it a little more cool. And that's looking pretty good. Now, what I want to do is take this radial filter and bring this down. So, fun fact, we can go double click effect to reset everything, click O. Now this shows where the effects are actually being applied. Now come down to range mask here and click on luminance. Now luminance, it basically adjusts what's being selected within the radial filter based on brightness of colors. So if we take this slider, now we're getting rid of all the lighter parts and we're just gonna focus on me. So you can see it's selecting me now and kind of some of these darker areas here. So that works pretty good, like so. Hit O. Now all the effects we apply will mainly just be applied to me here. So I want a little more brightness, I want some shadows up, add some contrast, turn down those blacks. Now let's add some saturation and some warmth. Quite a bit of warmth to make me pop off a little bit better. You can add a little bit of clarity, and then also add a little bit of sharpness, about 10 or so. And then I'm going to take the hue and just mess with that a little bit. Around there is pretty good. It's gonna keep my coat the true color, which is what I want. I'll even brighten that just a bit more. All right, so yeah, that's looking pretty decent. If we go before and after, it's a little brighter, but it's also got that blue tone to it. I think what I want to do is I want to darken. Yeah, not that much, just a little bit, and the aquas just a bit. Just darken them down. Those colors. You don't want to go too far because then it gets really gross. If you go too bright, then it just turns white. So just darken it just slightly. So we got before and after. So we got that blue coming through, and yeah, I think that's pretty decent. If we go look at the grid, yeah. So those are the 3 photos we did. Okay, so the thing is, like, every photo that you edit with, unless they're all from the same shoot, it's gonna look a little bit different. So you kind of have to tweak the settings to what looks best for that specific photo, and then kind of just move from there. So yeah, that's a way to edit photos in a darker, moodier way. I hope you enjoyed. You can take some of these methods, apply them to your photos. You can take all of them, copy them straight over, however you want to do it. But yeah, I encourage you to try to make your own style out of it and create your own technique and your own workflow. So anyways, thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing. Please consider liking this video, and check out some of my other stuff. Leave some feedback below, and I hope you're doing well wherever in this world that you're watching this video from. If it is the day or the morning or the evening or the middle of the night, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and yeah, peace out.